Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hello out there. We want to thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. And I want to appreciate you guys' patience. You know, technology, it just happens. Sometimes we just have those issues. I was just on a call right before this broadcast, and we were trying to get together on Zoom, and it kept saying that I needed to have a commercial account to get onto the Zoom call. So we ended up going to LinkedIn, y'all. That's the best kept secret is LinkedIn has LinkedIn video. So it's like Zoom. You can share screen, do whatever. And so that's just a little business tip that I wanted to point out there for everybody. So I want to thank you guys for being patient and waiting for me to broadcast. But that's just kind of what's going on in the background. But I am excited about my next guest. I have Andrea here with me, and we haven't seen each other in a while.
No,
We
yeah.
actually got acquainted through Toastmasters, which is another story we'll get into, I'm sure, later on. But before we get into some great conversation about what it is that she's been doing all this time that we have kind of been apart from each other, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lachelle. I am super excited to be on the show today. I'm kind of nervous, so guys, bear with me, okay? Just bear with me. But as Lachelle mentioned, my name is Andrea Dasent. We met a year ago, 2 years ago, I think, Lachelle
Hmm.
during a Toastmasters meeting, because she actually was a guest at my Toastmasters meeting chapter meeting.
Hmm.
And from then we just kind of connected and we've been cool ever since. Right? So my name is Andrea Dasent. I am the owner of AJ Event Productions. We are an event management company specializing in corporate retreats and incentive trips. So that's me. And I guess
Love it.
I know Lachelle's going to ask me so many questions about it. So I'll just let her get into it and give you more
I love
details
that.
later.
Yeah, well, I want to go back to Toastmasters because
Yeah.
I have heard so much about Toastmasters and I had never been to a meeting. And this was actually my 50th birthday that I came to you
Oh,
guys a meeting and I had to do a keynote speech. And so I had never even experienced this thing with Toastmasters. And so, like, I didn't really have a lot of time to prep for it.
right. Yeah.
So I didn't really go into the whole thing about how to do a presentation and all this.
Mhm.
But one thing that I went back later on, and it was how flawless the presentation is. You don't hear people saying, and
Yep.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and all this stuff. Everything
Yeah.
I'm doing,
It's
they're
normal
not
though.
doing. Okay.
Yeah. It takes
So
practice though. Yeah.
yeah, so talk to us about how you got into Toastmasters, what the benefits are, because it was really intimidating for
Yeah.
me because I speak all the time. I
Right.
mean, have a podcast, been feel like I have the gift to gab with anybody. But talk to us about how you got in it, what are the benefits, that type of thing.
Yeah. So I actually heard about Toastmasters years ago
Mhm.
when I was working. I have a background in corporate finance. With when I was in corporate, that's when I first heard about Toastmasters back in 2000 and maybe 12 or something.
Mhm.
And I started to take the classes because, what Toastmasters is, it's all about public speaking and allowing you to become a better public speaker. So you're giving topics every week, or maybe you pick your own topic and you deliver this speech, and they critique you on your speech. So yes, how many times you say how many times you say what I mean, how many times your body language and how that comes across, to an audience, and they help you kind of streamline that so you give better presentations and captivate your audience. So that's what it's all about. And I had first heard about it years ago, back in who I don't even remember the year.
Mhm.
And I had that just went on and passed, and we moved on from that. And then I met the president of my chapter, Scott Mason, which I just connected with. He just texted me maybe two a week ago or something, and was just like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh, I miss you so much." So anyway, I connected with him through a mutual friend. We met, and he was the president of the chapter. And he was like, "You know what? You should check it out. try it. And I was just like, well, yeah, I'm familiar with it, and it doesn't hurt to deliver a good to deliver a good message. So from there, I just, got involved with the chapter, and I've been there. I mean, after Corona, I kind of drifted off a bit. Don't
Mhm.
tell anybody about it. But it is an amazing program, and I would suggest for anyone to do it. I mean, even if you're not the person to jump in front of a stage and give a speech, it's just a
Mhm.
good kind of tool to have in your back pocket.
So true. I mean, yeah, it definitely was, I feel like I jumped from a cliff when
Yeah,
I
it's
had to,
scary. It's scary.
because, I was able to be part of the, Scott had invited me to
Yeah.
speak, and, you guys were doing table topics and all
Yes.
this. So it was like
Yes.
this leading up and then the
Mhm.
evaluations and the process. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what have I got myself into? But it really was very formative, and I just loved every minute of it. So, um, I love the whole thing about being able to feel confident in how you
Yes.
present yourself. And
Yes.
then just understanding how your language
Right.
matters on how people can interpret stuff. So that's one thing that I really appreciate. So we're
I think I'm gonna
now
have to get back in there, Lachelle. Now that you said that, let me be.
the
I'm,
connections, the networking. You know what I mean? I'm thinking back to how they promoted me speaking, but yeah,
yes. Yes,
that's
you did.
another thing. I'm all about the marketing and networking. But
Yes, you are.
so talk to us about, your event
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Explain that because, we've had COVID, we've had
Yes.
all these different things where people are like, well, I don't know if that applies to me. My people work at home, or,
Right.
you
Right.
know, um, I don't really need to interact with people
Right.
so much because they do have flexibility in their location and things
Right.
like that. So talk to us about what you do and how that can be valuable.
Yeah, so I think the two things that you just said. This is exactly why people need, or companies, organizations, need to host annual retreats or quarterly, or biannually retreats, because of that exact reason, right? You have
Mhm,
teams now after COVID who don't see each other than on
mhm,
a computer screen. Everyone is working remotely. People haven't been together in such a long time. You lose that connectivity. You lose that relationship between coworkers, because in person, like, relationship is so much different from sitting in front of a computer screen.
mhm,
And now that we're kind of out of COVID,
mhm,
kind of out of COVID, so many people are realizing, like, hey, I just need to get together. We need to create these bonds. We need to build relationships between people. And most honestly, most importantly, organizations really need to hone in and give their employees the appreciation, the support, the kudos for all of the hard work that they've been doing throughout the past 2 years during COVID. I mean, it's unprecedented time, right?
mhm,
Everyone was doing more than what they were supposed to. People were leaving the workforce. Workloads were getting heavier for the employees, and people just want to be appreciated, and that
mhm,
is why retreats are so beneficial to an organization, because employees feel that, and it makes a complete difference, not only to your bottom line, but in the morale of the organization. If I know that you appreciate me, and you really understand what I do, and see how I'm a benefit to this organization, I'm going to work harder for you, right? Like, I'm
mhm,
going to go the extra mile to do what I have to do to make this organization be the best that it can be. But it's not going to come without that appreciation, without that, hey, we really, that was great what you did last year. Your quarterly file presentation was amazing. I don't know, whatever it
mhm,
may be.
mhm,
Give them the kudos for that, and then also allow people to connect in lower level management with higher level management, or your average employees with upper management. Those connections need to be there. You need to connect with your
mhm.
supervisors, and understand who they are as a person, so you guys can work better as a team. So I mean, there's so many benefits to having a retreat, and I think now more than ever, I'm seeing the ramp up, right? In
Mhm.
people wanting to invest in this type of activity.
I love that. So
Yeah.
we've got quite a few viewers. We have Melanie A, who's here. We have Elizabeth, and we have Ashton. And so we appreciate you guys tuning in with us. And feel free to ask us some questions. We'll engage with you guys. So
Yes.
I think one of the things that a lot of people might initially be intimidated by is
Mhm.
that just sounds expensive.
Yeah.
How am I going to fund something like this? It sounds good,
Yeah.
but how do you work within a budget or,
Yeah.
so what does that look like?
I mean, budget is everything, right?
Mhm,
I mean, even in your own personal life, listen, you have to figure out how to do something to work with what you got.
mhm,
But that's exactly what we do, right? So we understand what your needs are.
mhm,
We'll talk about, what are your goals? What do you want your attendees, employees to walk away feeling like, right? So we understand, we kind of map that out to see
mhm,
exactly what we need. Do we need a 1 day? Do we need a 2 day? Where do you want to have it? Do you want to go abroad? Do you want to stay local? All of those things we kind of talk out, and then we talk about how much you're going to invest in it.
mhm,
And obviously, budgets aren't large, especially these days after
mhm,
COVID. Everyone's kind of trying to rein it in just a bit,
mhm,
and that's perfectly fine. We will create a program that would fit what your financial need or what your
mm,
financial capacity is. That's not a
mhm,
problem. And then also we're honest with you, right? So we're saying,
mhm,
oh, I know you want this, and it sounds great, it sounds amazing, but maybe let's try this. It's a little bit more cost friendly, but it still gets the same
mhm,
impact. So we have that ability to kind of work with and come up with different creative ideas to kind of get the point across, even if what you
mhm.
want is too expensive for your budget. If that makes
I
sense.
love that. Now,
Yeah.
and so you have a lot of entrepreneurs that
Yeah.
really follow the show.
Yeah.
They might have a few employees or
Right.
they have power partners. And
Hmm.
so maybe they do have a lot lower budget.
Yeah.
What are some ways that they can kind of incorporate this type of hospitality or mindset or something on a
Yeah.
smaller scale?
Oh
What
my
are
goodness.
some, yeah, so what are some options for that?
Yeah. So first things first, I do want to address the fact that smaller organizations, organizations who only have maybe 5 people, 10 people on the team,
Mhm.
sometimes they feel that they cannot have a retreat,
Mm,
because my group is too small, we don't have enough, and that is absolutely false.
wow.
I found that smaller retreats are the best retreats because it's more intimate. You get to do a little bit more things. The connections are deeper, and then
Mm,
everyone walks away feeling like a winner. So you don't have to have 25, 50, 100 people to have a retreat. Your
mhm,
5 people on your team is still a go. But ways that you guys can, incorporate that feeling is just having open conversation with your employees, right?
mhm,
Have speak to them, talk to them, take them out to lunch or something. Hear, what they're thinking about uh the workplace performance, how they feel appreciated, the work that they're actually, do they like the work that they're doing? Because that's another thing too. People don't like the work that they're doing. Maybe they are doing this, but they really are interested in X. All right, well, you
mhm,
have some things in X that maybe they can work on a side project that will kind of help them feed into what they really want to do.
mhm,
It's all open conversation, open dialect. The more we talk our employees, the more we have that open conversation, the more we get to know them, and the more we get
mhm,
to know what matters to them and what's important. And once you know what's important and what matters, that's what drives the organization. That's what drives success.
mm,
That's what drives everything, because
mhm.
you're getting to hear firsthand what they're really thinking and what they're about you, the organization, about what they're doing, and everything, and then you can make decisions and move forward from there.
I love that. Now,
Yeah.
so I love the whole thing about having the clarity from knowing what people want.
Yes. Yes.
So, what are some tips
Mhm.
that you could share with some business owners
Yeah.
in finding that out within their own organization? Because you can meet with them
Yeah.
and you could find out what they would love to have, but, really having the pulse of, is that really in alignment with what's really happening? So
Yeah.
what are some ways that they can begin to open the door or build trust or something with their staff in order
Absolutely.
to find more out about that?
Yeah. I think number one, get out of the office,
Mm.
or get out of the work. Because now offices are a little. No one's really in the office, but get out of the office dynamic, right?
Yeah.
You need to get people in their own element, having fun. Like, let's,
Mm,
go, let's take the team bowling, because once people break out of I'm at work, that's when you really see
mm,
who they are, right? Have
mhm,
fun, laugh, have some drinks, eat, once you relate to people on a social level,
mhm,
everything changes. But if we're in a meeting and you're my boss and I'm your employee, well then you're kind of stuck in this box, right? And you don't want to
mhm,
be in that box. You can't relate to people
mhm,
when you're in that box. So
mhm,
my first suggestion would be to break out of that box.
mhm,
Open
mhm,
it up, do something fun so people can interact on a social level. Once you do that, people are comfortable with you now. They
mm,
know that you're stuck at bowling, and they could trash talk you at on the Wednesday meeting, right? Like, because
mhm,
you lost that bowling. Or they know that your favorite meal is tacos, and they just made tacos last night, and they're bragging about their tacos to you. And then once you have that, then you can say, hey, it's so much easier to jump into the conversation. Hey, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about what we're doing here. Tell me how you
mhm,
feel about, I don't know, the project that we did last quarter. What's your
mhm,
feedback on that? What's your takeaways? Once you have to have that basis. You have to have that social basis
mhm,
to go into these important deep conversations. So that would be my first thing.
mhm,
Create the social connection
mhm,
outside of the workplace.
mhm,
After that, it's open dialogue, right? Open dialogue
mhm.
once you have that. And I think those will be my only two.
I
Um,
think that is
those are good
phenomenal.
starters. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
good starters.
because, just being in a different environment, I know have been doing studies on better communication.
Yeah.
And, I feel like my sons are from a totally different place, as opposed to my daughters. My daughters, I could give them a look or whatever. And it's like, we got this communication we understand. Guys,
Yeah.
it's a different thing. But I
Hmm.
was listening to this lady who said that when it comes to boys, you can't have that sit down, look at me directly type of conversation. It has to be them being physical, doing something else. So if you're
Hmm.
riding in the car
Yeah.
or they're doing some activity that allows them to open up, they don't feel as threatened per se
Yeah.
about the conversation. So I love that you mentioned that because a lot of people are like, I have an open door. I'm
Hmm.
doing these things, but why are people not talking? So that
Right.
really helps people to have a better understanding of
Yep.
how to go about doing that.
Yeah. People have to feel
Mhm.
comfortable, man. Like, no one's going to talk if they don't feel comfortable, and you have to
Right.
create that opportunity for people to feel comfortable, and that's where it all starts.
I love that. Now,
Mhm.
so you mentioned, I love the whole thing about the small groups being more intimate with the
Oh yeah.
retreats.
Yeah.
But let's say that we want to just incorporate certain things within the office. Maybe we're
Hmm.
not even doing a retreat. What are
Hmm.
some creative ways that we can bond with the staff or show our appreciation with some of these gifts that might be something on a smaller scale that we can kind of just start that momentum in that area, building up to something later on?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just to have fun.
Mhm,
Bring fun back to work. That's really where it is. When people are having fun, people are happy. And when people are
mhm,
happy, people are more open to tell
mhm,
you, to discuss, certain things with you. When people are happy, people work harder.
mm,
People are more invested in what they're doing, and in their work, and people will go the extra mile. So bring fun back into the workplace. There's one thing that I love in an office setting is superlatives. Like, in high school when you had like the funniest
mm,
funniest person, or the one with the best hair, or the
mhm,
most popular this. I love superlatives in a workplace. And obviously
mm,
you make it so it can suit your workplace, like make it
right,
perfect to your workplace. But those are the funnies, and everyone votes, everyone's talking about it, and then you have like kind of this, big, maybe a dinner or a lunch where you kind of read off the who won for the year. I think it's just the best thing. When I was in corporate, I think I won either the funniest or biggest personality. I think
Mm,
those two things, that's what I won. But it was just fun because everyone's kind of like, who you gonna vote for? Who you gonna vote for? Well, it's me against you, so let's have a funny off. You know,
that's good.
it's
That's good.
it's just fun. When
Yeah.
people have fun, people are happy. Happy employees are is the key to your success.
Mhm. I
Point blank
love that.
period.
I
Yeah.
love that. And
Mhm.
so talk to us, we're switching gears a little bit
Okay.
and,
Okay.
about pursuing something that you enjoy
Yeah.
in the midst of a pandemic. Because I
Woo.
think a lot of people are like, "Oh, I would love to do this. It's a pandemic." I
Yeah.
mean, what was it about the pandemic that just was a prompting for you to kind of follow what you're passionate about?
Yeah. So, this is we're getting deep now, Alicia. No, so I think the blessing of the pandemic was time, and everyone obviously would say that, just time to kind of sit down and say, what is it that I want to do? And if this is something I want to do, what does it look like? How do I do it? How do I get started? Who do I talk to?
Mhm,
It gave us a time to just sit back, not have any other distractions, and really hone in on these questions. For me, I been in the event industry for many years. I've been doing retreats for many years before I started my company. But I officially started my company in 2019, an events company, an event management company specializing in retreats in 2019. I had 1 year, 1 year to kind of sort of figure things out. Because when you're a business owner, you kind of don't know what you don't know yet. You're going along with the motions and hoping something sticks. So by the time I was really starting to figure it out and saying, all right, this is what I'm going to do, well, then the whole world shut down. And then it was shut down for 2 years. So it was extremely difficult to kind of stay committed to this dream that I had, right? But during that time, what the company looked like in 2019 looks completely different now. Right. It's because I had that time to sit down and evaluate and figure out what is it that now the company more reflects me because I had that extended thinking time to make it what I want it to be. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't all right, well fine, let's just try this and you just going along with the flow. No, it was planned. It was planned out, what you should be doing anyway. But hey, things happen. We are all human. I mean, we're all human. And when you're a new business owner, you're just trying to figure things out.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
that
my kids are in the background. I'll call them my coworkers. They're out of school and it's crazy in the background, so bear with us on that. I was trying to mute out. They're still talking crazy.
no
But anyway,
problem.
but so if you had to give some advice to
Yeah.
somebody who is in a situation of feeling like, I got to have all this ironed out,
Mm,
and they feel it even greater now because of a pandemic. It's like, oh my gosh, I might be the only breadwinner, or
right,
all
right.
these different questions that normally come up. I don't know, for some people it's even more heightened because it's a pandemic, or
Yeah.
we're coming out of it or whatever. But if you had to give them some advice, what advice would you give them about, you know, really following that dream?
I have two things. The first is you really have to want it. Okay? You really have to want to do whatever it is you set out to do. If you're lingering in any way when hard times come, you're just gonna deter from it. You're not gonna hold on to it. You're not gonna push through because you really don't want it. You really have to have that true desire to do whatever it is you want to do. Because throughout the 2 years, um, during the pandemic, it was real easy to say, you know what, forget this. I'm done. Like, I'm done. We're never going to come out of this. We're going to be in the house forever. No one wants to get together. It was real easy for those thoughts come into my mind. And there's
Mhm.
been tons of times where I'm like, you know what, forget it. Like, this is just too much. It's too much for me. I don't want to wait. Or by the time I do wait, the competition with everybody's going to be so much. It's going to be this. You really have to want. And that's the only thing that kind of kept me steadfast, is like,
Mm,
I want this. I want this.
mhm.
So, make sure you have that desire, make sure you have the passion to want to do whatever it is you want to do, because that's the only thing that's going to hold you down.
I love that.
Get hard, right?
So true.
Yeah. And then my
Mhm.
second thing is, and I laugh because I have such a hard time with this. So just don't think I'm perfect. I'm telling you this right now. But is progress over perfection.
Amen.
Progress over perfection. Okay. I thought I
Mhm.
had to have everything the right way. I had to, Lachelle, we were while I was kind of had these thoughts, Michelle and I were talking very often, and I
Mhm.
wanted to start, being on social media a little bit more and do these videos. And I thought I had to have the perfect camera, the lighting, the this, the that, everything had to be grade 1, and it doesn't. It
Mhm.
really doesn't. Take your phone and shoot a video and call it a day. Just get it
Mhm.
done, because the more you think about perfection, the longer it's going to take you to do something. And then you're a year in, 2 years in, and then you really haven't done anything because you're waiting for it to be perfect. Whereas if you just do it, you'll figure out, okay, this works. This doesn't work. Okay, well, let's try it this way next time. All right, then you're trying it this way next time. And then by the time you know it, you have a perfect product because it's been tested and it's been tried. So
Yes.
progress over, do not get hung up on the little details. Don't get hung up on, everybody, oh, that's another big thing. Oh, everyone else is doing it this way and it has to look.
Mm.
What's for you is for you, and what's for everybody else is for everybody else. You don't have to do it the way they do it because there's an audience for you, right?
I
So,
love that.
just honing into like what's for me is for me, and this
I
is how
love
I do
that.
it. I'm gonna stick by that. So that is, I guess, my two pieces of advice. I think I'll get a couple more, but Lord,
Yeah, you did good, girl. Now, so, and you brought up, just that story about how we used to talk. Talk
yeah,
to us about the value of coaching or
yeah,
mentors for your business, because I think some people feel like, okay, I got my money,
hmm
maybe if that's the case, or I feel like I have this skill.
hmm
How valuable or important is it to have mentorship or coaching?
it is beyond valuable. And I want to say that okay, let's start here. So it's valuable because I know for me, I
Hmm.
am an overthinker. So I will think myself into a grave and just get stuck like paralysis. What do they call it?
Analysis paralysis.
Analysis paralysis.
Hmm.
So having coaching from you and other mentors, it really
Hmm.
helped me to get out of that box and really say, "Hey, look, you're really overthinking this. It's not that hard, right? Like what you're talking about is really simple, but when you're just sitting by yourself
Yeah.
at your desk, it seems so big. So to me, that was the biggest takeaway from my mentorship and my coaching. Is just like, listen, it's like, relax, calm down, it's fine. It's fine. This is all we have to do. Let's do step 1, step 2, step 3. And then it's just like, this is simple, isn't it? So that is the biggest thing for me. I don't know about anyone else, but I know that it helped me with that tremendously, because when you're starting a business, you're getting information from everywhere. You're on
Yes.
internet, you're talking to people, you're this, you're that, and it's hard to kind of like narrow it down, because you
Hmm.
have so much coming at you at one time. I remember, Clubhouse
Hmm.
was huge over, during the pandemic. And I was like, you need to get on Clubhouse and stuff. And I'm like, wait, like it was overwhelming. And I didn't end up getting on Clubhouse because it was just too much. It was too much for me to fathom. And
Exactly.
someone told me, it's okay. If you don't want to get on Clubhouse, fine. It's okay. Let's do something else. Get on it later. And it just brought me ease,
Yes.
to have a mentor and a coach. But
I
I
love
do,
that.
yeah, I do want to say that, pick your coaches wisely.
Amen.
Pick your coaches wisely. Pick your mentors wisely, because you're giving them access into your thought process and how you
Mm,
do things, and your next steps. So if
yeah.
your next steps are ill-advised, then
Mm,
that's going to be a toughie. And honestly, there's a lot of people online today claiming to be mentors. Do your research.
yeah.
Okay, because there's a lot of people. That's like the new thing. Like, hey, we want to help you. Well, what's your? How many people have you mentored?
Exactly. Well,
you know?
and talk to us a little bit about that research, because I think we
Yeah.
say research, but then people don't know. They're like, "Oh, I looked them up and they have, 10,000 followers on
Oh,
Instagram. So they
that
must be, you see what I'm saying? So what kind of research can you walk them through a little bit of that?"
followers mean nothing.
Mm,
People follow cats. Like who cares? Followers mean nothing. What are your credentials? Who have you worked with? What have you helped them with? What industries were the people who you helped? What industries were they in? Right? Like, is it the
Mhm.
same as mine? Have you helped people with events industries?
Mhm.
Or is that not your focus? Maybe it's just like a mind, like a mental health thing. Well, have you helped people with mental health? What was the, can I talk to them? Like, what, where are they now? What are they doing now? Where do they come from? And where they,
Mhm.
ask the questions. And I always think that a mentor is best derived from someone you kind of know, you have some type of connection to, right?
Mhm.
So, maybe a friend of yours knows this that personal connection. I
Yeah.
think is better than to just find someone off the internet that you don't know skiddly bit about. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, for Lachelle and I, we had like a common, like Scott, who I had already known, and we built a relationship with. So it was easy to do that. But if it was
Mhm.
out random, like it's harder. So
Yeah.
assess who you know. Like, do you? I'm trying to start a business in X. Do you know anyone that's in that field or anything? Okay, yeah, I know Barbara. She's okay. Connect me with Barbara. Okay, well, Barbara. Hey, Barbara, how you doing? She doesn't have the time. Oh, Barbara doesn't have time. Barbara's busy. Okay, well, you know what? Let me connect you with this person. That's all you have to do.
I
Do you
love
know
that.
anyone who? And then it just keeps it going. That's really what it is
I
to
love
me.
that. Now, and you brought up a good point about the asking. Cause see, I
Yeah.
was in this place dealing with my depression,
Mm.
wasn't asking nobody anything. Felt like I
Ooh,
had to
child.
know all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give people about opening up about what they don't know and that kind of trust in other people? Because, you know, it's the scripture about pride comes before a fall. We could be
Yeah.
so caught up in ego about, oh, I don't want
Yes.
people to know what I don't know or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
So what advice would you give them about that?
You know what? That used to be me. I'm not even going. Not even gonna hold you. That used to be me. I didn't want
Me
to ask
too.
any questions because you don't want to seem like you're not the expert in something
Exactly.
that you need to be the expert in. But
Right.
you don't know you're never gonna know everything, right? You're
Yeah.
never gonna know everything. And I found it that the more you admit that you don't know, the more people are willing to help you.
So true.
The more and I got that from actually a client of mine.
Hmm.
She has several different businesses, and just in conversations with her, I've been on meetings with her board and her staff, and she's very open. She's like, listen, y'all know I'm not good at this, so tell me what y'all. And I was just so astonished, like, wow, the she's the head of all of these organizations, and
Hmm.
she's on her board meeting saying, hey, I have no clue, what do you guys think? And I'm like, oh, why can't I do that? You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
the more she did that, she was just, and everyone was just so receptive, like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So this is
Mhm.
how it works. And everyone was just so willing to help her kind of figure this out. And I found the same result when I started doing the same thing. So people are more receptive when you are honest and say,
So true.
I have no clue.
I love that.
How
Well,
please.
and things change every day.
Yeah.
I've just resigned that, I used to be the person that you go to the store that you always go to and you want to get something you've never bought before. And I used to be the one, I know where it is. I know this store. Now I don't care if I've been to the store 50 times or
Mhm.
one time. I'm finding somebody that works there to save my time. I'm not going
That's
to be
right.
all over the store looking for
That's
something,
right.
you know? And I mean, that was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
I would go around for, losing 30 minutes trying to find an item without just opening up my mouth. I mean, so that's just an example. Now it's totally changed. My kids, they are same thing. It's like, hey, let's get your foot measured. We're going
That's
to
it.
get some shoes, whatever.
That's it.
I am not wasting my time trying
That's
to
it.
reinvent the wheel on something when people are there to help you. It just doesn't
Right.
make
Right.
sense.
And the thing is, you open up your mouth about everything else, you're here every day talking about whatever. Well, do
So
yourself
true.
a favor. Ask for help.
So true. I love that. That is so, and I read this one thing on Facebook. I think it said delegating is just simply the fact of sharing the spotlight with somebody else. So I
Go
thought
ahead
that
and
was
start.
profound because, it's like, what are we trying to do? We trying to get all the attention all the time. I mean,
Hmm.
who wants that? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
I
yeah.
love being able to blend into the background. I'm like, look, let me give you somebody else to call so
That's
I can have a break.
that's right.
Can
That's
I get
right.
another mom over here? Can be a clone. No.
I know that's right. I know that's right. My whole career choice is to be in the background. And so you guys will go ahead in the front line. I'm fine. I'm
I
fine back
love
here.
that. Yeah. Well, this has just been wonderful. Tell everybody the best way that they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so please feel free to visit my website, www.ajeventproductions.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can email me. I'll leave Alicia. I'm sure you'll have my information up there somewhere to
Mhm.
share with the folks. You can give me a call. Any way of contacting, I'm able to be contacted. So you just go ahead along. I'm excited and happy to connect with you and to chat about whatever it may be. If it's not business or just this conversation today, or entrepreneurship or starting a business, anything. I am happy to help because when I was in the position, I really wanted somebody to talk to, and that is my gift back. Like whatever conversation you want to
Mhm.
have, let's have it because sometimes you just need to talk air. You just need
I
to
love
air and somebody to give you a little bit of advice, and I'm here to do that.
I love that. Now, so what final thoughts do you want to share with everybody about entrepreneurship, your business, or
Yeah.
whatever you feel led to share?
Well, I think I kind of touched upon it throughout our session here. One, be passionate about it. Be passionate about it. Really want it, right? Really want it. Be invested in it. So that when times aren't as you planned, then you'll keep at that thing. Two, get people to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Three, and I'm not sure I am a believer, but that was a big part of my entrepreneurship journey is my faith and knowing that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. Even if it doesn't look like what I want it to look like, I'm going to turn out fine either way. So that was a huge part of my entrepreneurship journey. And the next thing is have fun. Have fun. You can get so wrapped up into like doing all that you need to do and being on the computer and researching in that. Take a break, relax, go
Mhm.
hang out with your friends, go put your toes in some sand, get a little sun on your neck, and have that time to just be, and then come back.
Mhm.
You'll work a little bit better when you take the time just to give yourself a mental break. So mental breaks.
I love
Um, and another thing, and then I guess my last thing is connect with Lachelle for coaching. There you go, shameless plug.
I love that. That is awesome. Well, this has been great. And you know what? You don't even seem like you were nervous. I enjoyed the conversation.
I'm sweating a little bit over here. So TV, I know that was TBD, but I'm a little hot over here. So I'm glad it didn't come across that way.
You did phenomenal. You did
Thank you.
phenomenal.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much for being here today. I mean, the nuggets and inspirational and insightful shares that you have made, definitely. I know I'm going to go back and listen to the replay. It's hard to be trying to put the comments up there and
Right.
writing notes. And I'm
Right.
like, these were some good things for me to take away from. And I heard from somebody one time. I was listening to them and they were talking about different methods and
Yeah.
tools and stuff that people can use. And I said, so which one is the best? And she said, to be honest, the one that you're going to use. And so I just really encourage people, don't just write down the quote, but put it in action. Whatever it
Hmm.
is that gets you started, that
Yeah.
momentum, take that away from this conversation today so that you can get started.
Yeah.
Make it a baby step for you so that you can keep that momentum going because the whole world is out there and possibilities are endless
Yeah.
if you have the faith to just take the first step. So,
Woo. The
mhm.
first step is hard too, but it's possible. You'll do it.
Yeah,
You'll fine. You'll be fine.
yeah. I think it's just lowering the expectations.
Yes.
So if
Oh,
you just lower it, it's like, I know you want to go up the stairs, But if you know you just got to, the only way to get there is take this first step, that just really can bring it down so much that, I was also listening to this author who was talking about how when you're forming habits, you break the habits down so easy that they seem crazy not to do. So he
Mm,
said, if you want to floss your teeth, just start off saying you want to floss just one tooth every day.
that's
And
right.
so by the time you floss the one, you're like, I already got the floss. I might as well just do them all.
Keep on
But if
going.
you make
Hmm.
the expectation low enough,
Hmm.
you won't have an excuse not to get started.
Yeah, yeah, it's a mindset. It's a
Yeah.
mindset. You really have to shift your perspective, everything about how you
Mhm.
think when you want to get into entrepreneurship, because it's completely different from just being a regular civilian going to a 9 to 5.
Mhm.
So, I think that your mental, this is why you need good mentors.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
someone needs to, help you shape, like, it's not going to be perfect. It's not
Mhm.
going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a big leap. Like you
Mhm.
said, it just one little thing that you do a day. Just start off with one little
Mhm.
thing that you do a day. Talk to one
Mhm.
person a week, and then
Mhm.
from there it'll blossom. So I mean, we could go on all day, but I could talk to that as well. I'm upset that we wasn't able to talk to that, but that's a great point. That is a great point. Your expectations
Yes.
are great. That's a huge point.
Love that. So, well, we want to thank all of you guys for watching. This has been just a wonderful conversation. If you have any questions, we weren't able to post them, but you want to reach out to Andrea, just click on her profile on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you can find her, or send her an email. We'll be sure to put
Yes.
those in the comments. If you have any questions, later on and you just listen to this, share it with a friend. That's another thing. If, don't try to remember everything that was said,
Yeah.
give them the video so they can get their own takeaways.
That's
It
right.
doesn't cost anything to share. I think we kind of forget that. It's like, oh, when I have time to call you, I'll tell you what they said. Just give them the video so they can see it for themselves. They may
Yeah.
have a different revelation or aha. So, again, we just want to thank you so much for being on here today. And we are just, I mean, for me, I love getting the information and understanding that I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
when you're going through this journey as an entrepreneur or even on a 9 to 5, it's like, is this really making an impact? Is it making a difference? Are people
Yeah.
hearing? Is it really worth, still keeping up with? And so having conversations like this just
Hmm.
reinforces that it is right, the right thing to do. It's about the
Yes.
long game and not just the sprint. So I love that.
Hmm. Yes, and thank you so much for having me, Lachelle. This has been fun. I didn't think it would be that
Good.
fun. I thought I would be shaking in my boots, but this has been
Hey,
fun. So thank you
look,
so much.
bringing fun back into the workplace, right?
That's right. That's right.
Love that. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see all of y'all on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.